That's my intro. I read 4.5 books this month, so no, I didn't reach my 5-month goal, but have you ever considered that you're just a hater? It's useful information to know that I'm probably projecting onto you right now. Wrote reviews for 2 of these books, by the way, out of the 4, technically 5, well, not technically 5 because if we're being technical it would be 4, not 5, because, well, I only read 4 fully. The Hypocrite in one sentence, the call is coming from inside the stage house. Get it? Because, well, you guys don't get it yet because I haven't given you a synopsis, but one of the main characters in this book is a playwright and we're currently watching a production of her play in the theater, aka stage house. Do you guys get what I'm saying? The word is insensitivity. So with that knowledge, let's go ahead and get the synopsis. I did post a little bit about this on TikTok, but I think I'm gonna dive a little bit deeper here. Sophia invites her father to see a production of her play, and little does he know, the play is about him. The play is about the summer that they spent in Sicily together. That may have been a summer that, you know, her father looked back fondly upon, but Sophia does not share that same sentiment because she was not, I don't know, conducting an entire tirade on the entire Italian female population. Well, Sicilian, I guess. The entire Sicilian female population. He was bringing back a lot of women to their little house that they were staying at for the summer, and she could hear. He did not know that she could hear. Oh, but she could hear. When her father is sitting there watching this entire play, because like it kind of shifts back between her father's perspective and Sophia's perspective. I'll tell you a little bit more on that, but first on the father's sitting there watching the play. He's like, what in the F? Guys, what is going on right now? I didn't think that this is how she saw me. First of all, I didn't even think that she heard. The fact that she's portraying me like this is a little bit insane. Like, couldn't we have at least talked about it first? That's gonna be a big thing, guys. That little part there, it's gonna be a big thing, let me tell you right now. And then when we switch to Sophia's perspective, this is happening concurrently, like all at the same night. Sophia is not in the theater watching the play. She's watched the play like a billion times at this point. She doesn't need to know. She's instead at a restaurant that is like in the same building, I think at the rooftop, and she's sitting having dinner with her mother. So they're kind of talking about the idea that her father is currently watching this play right now. It's very fun to see all pan out, guys. While we're switching between those 2 different perspectives, we also do sometimes flashback to the actual summer in Sicily that the play is currently portraying. They're kind of like 3 different settings that we're switching between, if that all makes sense. And you guys know that I love that. I just love going from place to place to place. It kind of feels like different perspectives in a fantasy book or something like that. You know, it still keeps you on your toes, which is why this was so insanely bingeable. Like, I finished it so fast, maybe in a day or 2. First, before we talk about the themes of this book, because I'm gonna want to talk about these themes so much, oh my god, like I said, this book set the tone for my entire month, let me be honest with you. Let's talk about prose first. That's how I like to structure these things, all right? There's praise covering the back of this book about Jo Hamya's writing, who is the author of this book, comparing her to Rachel Cusk. If you guys know Rachel Cusk, she wrote the Outline trilogy. That's like one of the most famous things that she's written. I've only read Outline by her and also Arlington Park. I do want to continue reading, but I feel like her style of writing is very, oh my god, it's like a work of art itself, I'm gonna be completely honest. It takes you on a journey through the words themselves. Every sentence is something you have to sit with, digest. I don't know how else to describe her writing, so when I saw praise comparing Jo Hamya's writing to Rachel Cusk's, I was like, that is a tall order. But I read the first couple of pages in this book, and I'm like, okay, I think I see where the comparisons are coming from. And then I'm like, well, if she's completely mimicking Rachel Cusk's style, then what makes her her? But she definitely does have a distinct style in here, that's for sure. Her own voice, it comes out, and I think it comes out not only through the themes that she's touching on themselves, which we're gonna get to in a moment, but also just through her comedic style. The point I'm trying to get at is I think Hamya establishes herself as her own unique writer, so there's no gripes there. And I will say there was this one moment, I think you would, I don't know, you would definitely liken it to a climax. What even am I saying, liken it to a climax? It was the climax of the book, where all 3 different settings were kind of coming together really fast. You know, like at the beginning of the book, the settings, the chapters, they alternate very slowly between each other. So you start with like the father visiting the play, and then you move to Sicily, and then you move to Sophia and her mother at dinner. So it starts like that a little bit slowly. And then when you get to the climax, Oh my god, the chapters, they move very fast, where it's just like one page or sometimes even one sentence per scene, and you're just flipping. Oh my god, the tension, it's rising, it's building. It's just like you have to keep flipping, you have to keep reading to figure out what's going on, what's going to happen, the emotions are building. It's huge. It feels like such a really cool experience. I don't know if I would consider that a spoiler, guys. Sometimes I feel like when I rave about these books, I'm like letting on a little bit too much information. I don't know how to properly rave about these books without going into stuff like this. But I feel like that's not really a spoiler. Sorry? I don't know. On the themes of this book, before I show you the 2 quotes and the only 2 quotes that I underlined and dog-eared in this book, let me give you a little bit more context, because apparently I have not given you enough context, which is a little bit crazy. This takes place, I think, during 2021. Definitely still during, like, all the mess of the COVID pandemic, where we still had to wear masks when we were going outside and stuff like that. Not during lockdown, but definitely a little bit in the aftermath of that. Sophia's father is also an author. She kind of takes after him a little bit in that sense, and recently, right now, he's been coming under fire for some insensitive tweets that he's made, for some insensitive representations of female main characters that he's had in his stories. That's important information to know. I hope that you can get that. But let me go ahead and start reading these 2 quotes that I underlined. During intermission and conversation with a random stranger who recognized Sophia's father as Sophia's father, she says to him, "You offend people for a living. She, your daughter, is offending you. In a way, she's paid you a great homage. Aren't you proud?" Oh, I like that. I get a little chills right there. First of all, didn't you get a little bit of chills right there? Maybe you didn't because you weren't there for all of it. If you haven't read this, if you have read it, oh my god. Let me know your thoughts below, please. The other thing that I have over here, this is from Sophia's father's perspective. He's thinking, how is it possible to achieve the already difficult goal of being constantly virtuous in an environment determined to see the bad in everything as a means to progress? Oh my god, oh my god. There's so much going on, there's so much going on. Okay, I just want to start off by saying that there were a lot of similarities drawn in between daughter and father. Daughter, she's like, oh my god, I don't want to be anything like him. She has valid reasons to dislike them. We already kind of went through some of them, right? But the thing is, she's pathologizing his behavior that he did to her. Not his insensitive tweets or female main characters or anything like that. His behavior that he did to her on that summer that they spent in Sicily together, she's pathologizing his behavior as anti-feminist or abusive. When really, that behavior, it was not anti-feminist, it was just shitty behavior. Like, let's be honest with each other here. And the way she's portraying him so cartoonishly in his play, without even, like, running this by him first. Like, she just makes him go sit and watch this play without even telling him that this is what it's going to be about. Is that not her also being a little bit insensitive? Can I say that the apple does not fall far from the tree? I think the apple's rotten right to the core. I'm just kidding. What I really like about this book is that Hamya does not try to assign moral purity to either the father or the daughter. The daughter, yeah, she may think she's all moral and good and perfect, but is she really? Father, on the other hand, we may think that he's kind of evil and rude and wrong, but is he the worst person on the face of this planet? No. They both fall into this weird, morally gray area, which I love to see play. Oh, you guys know that I love morally gray stuff. I hate when I find myself agreeing a little bit with father. I'm like, wait, that's kind of true. And I hate when I find myself disagreeing with Sophia. I'm like, wait, girl, I don't know if you're right there. It's just really good. And I feel like putting this all in the context of like the 2021 era where online there was so much virtue signaling, maybe, can I say, where people thought that they were being morally good by calling out this, and that, when really they're not checking in on their own behaviors. They're not also seeing if them calling out these people are actually doing anything. I was definitely one of those people, I'll be completely honest. I was definitely one of those people that was just calling out people left and right without checking in with myself, without doing anything that actually furthered our American society, I guess you could say. Like, I was not out in the field. Does this make sense? Tell me I'm making sense. What I'm trying to say is that during 2020, 2021, there were a lot of people calling out others' behaviors without actually doing any work to counteract those harmful behaviors that they were doing. So how effective is that really? I've been talking about this book for 30 minutes now, but I'm gonna end with this. Both the father and daughter offend, Both of them are insensitive. They write stories without caring about how the people closest to them will perceive it. There's so many more things to dissect about like the whole mother-daughter relationship also that I didn't even try to get into there. Also Sophia's coming of age, the exploration of sexuality, all this stuff that I could go on, but I don't know, like the virtuosity bit, that was what really, really stuck with me and set the tone for the entire month, and I was kind of thinking through the lens of that, and I'm gonna probably go on another rant when I talk about Doppelganger here in a little bit that's kind of connected to this. We'll see, guys. Stick around for that. I'm lying down for deep cuts because there are a lot of thoughts I have that I can't quite sort together. It's been a month since I've read this, and I still don't know exactly what I think. Let's get to the sentence and the word. The sentence is, "We only speak in music." The word is messy. Yes, I do recall this being very messy. I think the story in here, I think it's great. I think it's solid. Oh god. On Goodreads I rated this 4 stars, and then in my review I said 3.5. I think I'm gonna bring this down to 3. I'm changing this right now actually, as we speak. Yeah, okay. So there's this character named Percy, alright? Percy, she writes for a college's music publication, and there's this other character named Jo. Jo makes music of his own. They meet one night, they're both in college at the same college, and they go out at a bar, they meet at a bar one night or something like that. Jo is currently dating someone, alright? But she turns out to be a lesbian, so it's okay. And then Jo and Percy, they start getting it on a little bit. I mean, they don't actually, like, get it on, you know what I'm talking about? They just kind of make music together. She listens to his music and she kind of gives some feedback on it, and then they start working a little bit on another song. They come up with lyrics together. They're making music together. That's what's working. They have different music tastes, but the way they speak about music is very similar. All of the elements inside of it, the instruments, the layering, the lyrics and stuff like that, they can talk about that on a similar type of level. This is all from Percy's perspective, and Percy can only talk about music the way that she does with Jo. You know what she said? Like, that's the only thing that she's got going on, so I feel like because of that she's developed a very strong connection to him. I describe music as though it's some metaphysical playing field that only the two of them can traverse. There are flies, there's so many flies in my apartment, sorry. Jo, though, he's very weird about this. Because Percy has been kind of very helpful for his music experience, he doesn't want to bring in any romantic relationship. He's like, no, I don't want to do this with you. This is, like, not the right time. Like, I can't do this to you. Like, okay, whatever the fuck that means. I feel like that's one thing about this book, is it's very real, you know? People are very weird in real life when it comes to this. Like, I know a lot of people who act like Jo in this book. Like, oh no, like, it's just not, like, we can't, like, okay, why? Can you say why? I feel like if you like that kind of thing, that's definitely going to be a vibe for you, okay? And then Percy herself, she's also a little bit weird when it comes to the romantic thing, because Jo is not the only man in her life. I feel like the relationships in this book are very reflective of real life. And that's why I said it kind of reminds me of normal people, in the sense that, like, things don't exactly work out the right way, because that's just, like, how it goes in real life. People are weird, they don't exactly communicate correctly, blah blah blah. But normal people definitely has that distinct Sally Rooney style. I haven't read it in, like, oh my god, like 5-6 years now. I definitely want to reread it with a fresh set of eyes, because I feel like I didn't exactly get it that time. That's not the point of what I'm saying, sorry. Normal people definitely has that distinct style. She doesn't do quotations, you know, she writes a little bit bluntly. This, I don't know, I feel like the writing style is very middle of the road. There's some lines in here which I'm like, oh, that's nice, I guess, like, good job, but I don't know, I feel like the most that the writing deserves is a pat on the back. I don't think it deserves a gold medal or a trophy or anything like that, but a pat on the back and a participation trophy. Is that mean? Here's the problem. I think I've been reading so many books with writing that just blows me out of the water with its distinct and unique style that this just underwhelmed me on that front. Let me flip open to a random page and see if I can read a line and just describe what I'm talking about. Listen to this. I said goodbye and hauled my wooden limbs to a subway station. Like, I get what you're going for, girl. Like, yeah, wooden limbs, like, oh, you feel, like, a little bit paralyzed or something like I don't know. It just feels like a little bit of quirkiness is just replacing one word. Does that make sense? Oh my god, that's exactly what it is, actually. So instead of having quirkiness and your own style flow throughout every single sentence and the way the sentence and paragraph... Guys, I don't know how to describe this. I don't know anything about English. I'm not, like, well-versed in that. I don't know the words for this, okay? I feel like what she does instead is, instead of saying, like, the obvious thing, she replaces one word with a quirky phrase. That's exactly what it is. Instead of saying, I said goodbye and I walked my legs to a subway station, because that would be the same thing virtually. She says instead, I said goodbye and I hauled my wooden limbs. Like, you know what I'm saying? There is value in simplicity, and you could have just said, walked my legs to the subway station. It would have been the exact same vibe. But hauled my wooden limbs makes me feel like you're trying too hard to be quirky. I think I'm only hating because these little quirky phrases only appear once in a while, you know what I'm saying? It just doesn't feel like that's the spirit of her writing throughout the entirety of the book. It just feels like they pop up here and there, and I think that's what bothers me about it. That's not to say that this is bad. Okay, in no way do I want to say that this is bad. This is fine. Like, it was enjoyable. I still liked it. But the thing is, I don't know, really, guys, I've just been reading so many great books. And a 3-star read is not going to cut it for me anymore. It's like I've built up a tolerance, you know? Like, these 3-star reads, they used to give me that high, but now that I've read so many 5-star books, like in this past year, honestly, you guys have been following my reading journey now. My tolerance is higher. I need 5-star reads to get to that same high. Which is a little bit of a depressing experience, maybe? I don't know how to feel about that yet. One thing that I did like about this book, which will eventually circle back to one thing that I didn't like about this book, this is just like a setup, okay? So you gotta follow me all the way. One thing that I did like about this book is all of the chapters are titled a different song. Oh my god, I love that. You know what? You guys read Utopia Avenue? Let me not even bring Utopia Avenue up. Because now that I have, I just know that that book is infinitely 10,000 million times better than this. A similar vibe a little bit with a band that's rising to fame, but that's just so much better, and now that I've compared the two in my mind, this is just shot down. I'm so, okay. See, I can't be doing this to myself. Both Utopia Avenue and Deep Cuts, every single chapter is titled a song. It could be either a real song or a fictional song. In Utopia Avenue, it's only fictional, I think so. But in this one, and most of them are real, I'll be honest. Why do you mean, I'll be honest? I keep saying I'll be honest throughout the entirety of this video. Like, okay, what are you gonna be? Are you gonna be lying? No, of course you're gonna be honest. What am I saying? Are you gonna be lying? Oh, I'm having a good time. Are you having a good time? The author actually made a Spotify playlist with all the songs that are in here, and it's really fun to read the chapters and listen to that song that is titled of the chapter, because do you guys know what I'm saying? And that made for a really fun reading / listening experience. It was super immersive. I loved it, and some of the songs, you know, I would listen to and I'd be like, wait, that kind of applies to what's going on in this story right now. That is true for Hey Ya by Outkast, which I brought up in a TikTok. I'm gonna bring up again because I don't care if I am being repetitive. I feel like bringing it up again. At that point in the story, Percy, main character, she's kind of with that other guy. The fact that the chapter was titled Hey Ya, I know that Hey Ya is a song about how you kind of stay in relationships with people where you kind of know that it's not going to work out. It's about the inevitability of heartbreak. And I was like, this is an indication that she's not going to stay with this man very long. So I really liked that until at the end of the chapter, she says, oh, I like Hey Ya, but Hey Ya is kind of about the inevitability of heartbreak, so maybe we're not gonna stay together. Don't say that to me. Make me connect the pieces myself. Don't treat me like I'm an idiot. I know exactly what Hey Ya by Outkast is about. You don't have to tell me. That takes a little bit of the fun out of the reading / listening experience because I was able to piece those two pieces together, and here you are telling me like I couldn't figure that out myself. It's insulting. So that's another thing. But I really did like, you know, Percy writes for a college music magazine, right? I loved her musings. I thought they were both insightful and reflective of her love story at that moment. So that was like really cool to see the way that her perceptions of music are influenced by what she's going through at the moment. You know, like that is super true. Whatever you're going through at the moment, it really just makes you view the world differently and view music differently, have a different experience with music. So I really liked being able to see that. The author clearly has so much care for music. Music is such a love language. Like, I totally get it. Like, I'll be completely honest. I'm not going to lie. I loved it. The story itself, very real, very messy. Like, Jo pulls some shit, Percy pulls some shit. I'm like, ooh, it's a little bit crazy, guys. What are we doing? Do we really care about each other, or are we just being weird? I think we're good. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Martian Chronicles by Bradbury. I didn't write a review for this, so we're kind of in a free-for-all right now. But let's go ahead and do the sentence and the word, because that is something that I did do. The sentence, if we don't learn from history, we are destined to repeat it on Mars, because this is about the colonization of Mars. Oh my Gosh, this book was incredible. I don't remember if I rated it 4 or 5 stars. I think I'm gonna have to give it a 5 because it was insane. I don't know if you guys heard the name of Ray Bradbury, but he did write a book that is very popular. It is called Fahrenheit 451. Did you guys get that? Fahrenheit 451. Oh my god, get your ears checked. This was an absolutely insane anthology. I think I'm using that word incorrectly, but kind of that vibe. I have to get across that vibe. Where it was a bunch of different stories that were placed together chronologically. They were all stories that were placed together in a chronological order. Oh, actually, I think it's this way because it's inverted. It's inverted, so I gotta go this way. Ooh, they were all different stories about the process of humans coming to Mars, colonizing it, all of these different, I don't even know how to begin. With characters that were so familiar, with themes that were so cautionary, but also, I don't even know, guys. It was really good. I did not know Ray Bradbury got it like that. I did read Fahrenheit 451 in like the 7th grade, but I don't remember. For this book, I wanted to remember what was actually going on inside of it, so for every little story, I wrote what it was about. That is what I did. Yes, that's true. I'll go ahead and start. It starts with the first couple of expeditions to Mars. So, like, humans are coming to Mars, right? So the first couple of times the expeditions don't exactly work out because, of course, humans are expected to be greeted by the Martians with cordiality and joy, maybe even a little bit of fear because they want to overtake Mars, right? The first ones fail a little bit. Even just the way they don't tell the first expedition from the captain's perspective or from anybody on Earth's perspective, right? They actually tell it from a Martian's perspective who had like a kind of dream-like premonition about humans coming to Mars, and it was so silly because she was telling her husband about her dream. She was like, there were these creatures, they were about 6 foot and they had this pale skin, blah blah blah. Her husband's like, that's absolutely ridiculous, bitch. What are you dreaming about? And she's like, no, but I feel like this is gonna happen. It never actually happens on the page, but we know that it happens in the future because the next story is talking about, oh, the second expedition from Earth to Mars, blah blah blah. In the second expedition, it's so crazy. I don't even know how to tell. I can't give all this away because the second expedition especially is such a funny reading experience. It's like, what even is going on right now? This is satire at its finest, babe. I don't even know how else to describe it because, oh, I wish I could go into this, but I'm not going to spoil anything about it because I think the joy is in not knowing anything when you go into this book. That limits me to only a few things to discuss about it if I'm not going to tell you certain things. I had another sentence idea that I wrote down in this book. The sentence for this could have been, if sci-fi is a reflection of our world, then this is the most obvious attempt. Yeah, it is really interesting to see how the Martians combat the humans approaching them on Earth. It's interesting to see how the humans form their own world on Earth also, and how it starts to mirror what Earth looked like, even though it was supposed to be the promise of a new world. It starts looking like Earth again. History repeating itself. There's a lot of thoughts here about colonialism. Is there an ethical way to colonize? Is there a way to coexist on Mars, even though the land was not ours? Ooh, I have 2 dog-eared pages in here. I wonder what they say. I honestly have no clue. The humans are talking about the Martians and how they know how to blend art into their living. It's always been a thing apart for Americans. Art was something you kept in the crazy son's room upstairs. Art was something you took in Sunday doses mixed with religion, perhaps. Well, these Martians have art and religion and everything. And next page. I say to flip to the next page. That's what I say. That's good, because I wouldn't have remembered this. Is it okay if I just read quotes? Because honestly, I have a really hard time conceptualizing this. I was even thinking, like, yesterday and the day before, I need to write a review on this so I can bring all my thoughts together. Maybe it's a good thing that I don't bring my thoughts together. This is me just trying to rationalize the fact that I didn't do the work for this video. And the next page in here, I wrote down next to the quote, I wrote that the man overthinks, trying to identify, rather than appreciating the how. And I think this is in context of art. The human seems to try to figure out why it is something that we should enjoy. Also figure out whether or not it is moral, when really it's just something that you could sit down and enjoy. Oh god, I don't remember exactly how this fit into the context of the story, so maybe I just sound like I'm speaking crazy talk right now. The point of this that I'm trying to bring out right now is that there are so many little points, so many reflections, so many thoughts. Those are all the same thing, I just said that 3 times over. That Ray Bradbury has to offer about the human experience, and it's just written in such a way that is so unique, but he touches on concepts that are so universal about humanity that I just found it so moving. I feel like nobody's doing it like this. I don't read a lot of sci-fi, so maybe they are. But maybe he was the first, okay? Isn't this crazy? Look at this. This must be wrong, because I think the book was published in when? 1950. But supposedly, Linda Capek Armstrong owned this book in 1946. Bitch ass liar. This book didn't even come out then. Sorry, Miss Armstrong. Also, this is completely fallen apart. The whole front cover, it's just off. I had to tape it together. Another thing that I wanted to add about this is that as the stories progress, as Earth is colonizing Mars more and more, at first it was just for like the astronauts, and then it started to be for the workers, the poor people, to see if it was actually suitable to be up there. And then it was for the rich people, which is actually a little bit interesting, right? Because I feel like what we're seeing right now in real time with the whole Jeff Bezos trying to make space tourism a whole thing is that the rich people are getting to go to Earth first. When instead what we see in this book is a little bit of the opposite. Do you think it's better for the rich people to go to Mars first or for the poor people to go to Mars first? From the rich people's perspective. And you must know that there are Martians living on Mars too. What do you guys think? Right? Probably poor people first too, right? Because they're expendable. And the Martians do have some different powers that could be a threat to humanity. That was also something that was very fun reading, guys. You just gotta get into it. It's enlightening, but it's also entertaining. It's sad, but it's funny. It's so much all at once, and I really think that you would all do yourself a little bit of a favor if you got into this. That's all I have to say on that. That brings me to On the Calculation of Volume 2, baby, number 2. I talked about this a little bit in my last video that I posted, my reading vlog, where I read 40 pages off camera because apparently I was really uncomfortable with doing that on camera. Don't know what was wrong with me. Let's get the sentence and the word. The sentence is create your own reality. Holy freaking moly, we're gonna get into it. Word, curious. Guys, when I tell you right now that this book is a beacon of freaking hope, what in the world? I wasn't expecting that at all, because the first book was about loneliness, maybe loneliness and love. Who's to say? Everybody has their own interpretations, but that was my interpretation of it, I think. And this one, such a different vibe shift. Like I said, I didn't know what I was expecting, because having a 7-book series where everything is just a time loop runs the risk of things being very similar. And honestly, nothing really shifted in the mechanics and the actual plot of this time loop when it went from book 1 to book 2. So I was like, well, what can we really expect from this? And you know what I should have expected but just did not, is that there was a completely different outlook on life from our main character, Tara, baby. In the first book, she was going through some shit. Okay, she had hope, she lost hope, she had hope, she lost hope over and over and over again, and ended up being very existentially sad. But this, oh my god, my girl was doing what she could with what she had. It was so inspiring to the point where I was like, what? I'm gonna cry. So she's eternally locked into November 18th, right? This is a time loop story. You guys know that, right? Do I have to say that again? I don't know if I said that already, but this is a time loop story. She's stuck in the day of November 18th, okay? She can move around, it's fine. There's some things that she can bring with her, and if she keeps them close next to her body, then she can bring them into the next day with her, which is actually the same day, but for her it's the next day. You know, in the beginning, she contends with losing her identity a little bit. She does go to visit her family, which is something that we didn't get to see in book 1, so that was when we got to see her mom and dad and her sister. And after a while, she starts paying really close attention to all of the people around her. Like her family, for instance, because she thinks that maybe she can get some kind of advice, a new perspective from them. That's something that she brings up in conversation with them. She says that there are details everywhere. There must be answers somewhere if I'm just listening. And it's something I gotta do. I gotta just listen to what's around. And so that's what she starts doing. She goes out and about. She starts, you know, people watching, eavesdropping on other people, and realizes that she could have like a whole different plethora of November 18ths, right? There is so much to unlock in one single day, because everybody there is living a different story, you know what I'm saying? One day she meets this meteorologist, and with the help of the meteorologist, she is able to figure out which places in the globe will help her feel like she's in a different season, so that she can manufacture her own year, so that she can herself make herself feel like time is passing for her. Does that make sense? I'm asking you guys if things make sense over and over again, because I feel like since I hadn't written these ideas out yet, I don't know if they're cohesive. And I can't even hear a response, so I don't know why I'm asking you this question anyway. But yeah, with the help of the meteorologist, she can construct her own seasons, she can construct her own year. And that is so freaking She's creating her own reality. Are you not crying right now? I'm crying. Once again, the prose is just stunning. What do I have to say about it? I mean, it's just stunning. Like, there's literally nothing else to say about this. Wait, can I bring you a little bit closer, maybe? Because I feel like I'm leaning back like this. I feel like I've been at the bottom of the frame now. I feel like this is better. Is this better? I feel like it's better. What did I tag? Let's see. Yep, she's assembling her own year. She says it like this. I think of tools, of screwdrivers, Allen wrenches, and nuts and bolts of various sizes. I think of screws and nails, of glue and cement. I assemble the parts, and maybe I can build a year. I'm tearing up. I can't do this, I can't do this. Maybe there was something I didn't know about the 18th of November, that there might be small surprises hidden in there, that there was still some excitement left. I think that's the thesis of this book. And something about Solvej Balle's writing is that she introduces concepts and metaphors early on in the story and then brings them back again. She like references herself. It's so beautiful, and when you get it, you're like, oh my god, like I feel like we just made something together. I just had to bring that up because I was looking through some of these quotes and I'm like, well, I can't read them to you because you guys didn't get the original reference because you weren't there for it. You just gotta read it, okay? I'm telling you right now, you just gotta read it. And you know what kills me? The third book doesn't come out until November 18th. First of all, I love that. Isn't that so funny? Because November 18th, but also... oh my god. Don't think I can wait because something happened at the end of this book that I just need more information about. That is something that is really cool about at least the first two books. I don't know about the rest of the series because it hasn't come out in English yet, but the end of the books always leave you with this cliffhanger. I'm like, no way, bitch. I gotta get to the next one. Please. I was saying that maybe it would be just faster if I learned Danish and bought the original Danish version instead of waiting for it to come out in English. I can't do this. How many months is it? It's May 1st now, so 6 months, but that was this one. And then the last book that I have read this this month. Doppelganger by Naomi Klein. This is where I'm at right now, a little bit more than halfway. All this. Oh my god. I've talked about this book like 1 million times because I keep having new thoughts that like this book spurs into me that I want to talk about on TikTok. I think I made like 2 different, but I'm going to bring up one of the TikToks that I talked about because I have to rant a little bit, guys. I've ranted about it a little bit to some other people, but I have to rant about it in this, okay? For context, let me first give you guys a synopsis of what this book is about. I'm not going to do a sentence and a word because I haven't finished this book yet. Maybe there's some stuff in here that I don't know that will better inform me when I make the decision on how to, I don't know, summarize this book in 1 sentence and 1 word. So instead, I'm just going to tell you what it's about so far. Naomi Klein, she's a writer, she's an activist, left-leaning, okay? And recently, during the height of the COVID pandemic in like 2020, 2021, reading a lot of pandemic books recently, which is interesting. She got compared a lot, or not compared a lot, she got mixed up a lot with this other right-wing conspiracy theorist named Naomi Wolf, okay? Naomi Klein is like, excuse me, I feel like you're brandishing my personal image. Is brandish the right word? Brandish is not the right word. I don't know where I got that from. Basically, you're tainting, you're ruining my personal image is what she was on about. But then she was like, wait, why do I care so much about a personal image? So there's a little bit of musings about that. But honestly, a lot of it has been about explaining all of these conspiracy theorists that Wolf has been on about and then debunking them a little bit, which is really fun. I mean, you guys know I love some of that. Like, yeah, take her down, come for her neck. I love that. But I did think it was going to be a little bit more about what the right wing says about us, because that is something that she's been on about, but it's always been like an extra 1 or 2 pages at the end of the chapter so far. See, I haven't finished the book, so I don't like to give my official thoughts on it because maybe things change in the second half of the book. I'm sure that they do. I don't want to give critiques on it yet because things are only like just now ramping up. The notes are never ending, the thoughts are never ending. Like I said, I made some TikToks on these. One of them, I kind of brought in Addison Rae into it a little bit, and I wish I didn't because I feel like that muddled my point. I feel like some people just heard Addison Rae and it was like their sleeper code. They were up. They were like, huh? It's time to fight. But this book, combined with the fact that Addison Rae's past has been resurfacing and things that she has apologized for are not like being accepted by people because she's stepping into the pop world, that has been making me think a lot about like newcomers on the left and how their change in ideology is not so readily accepted because their previous ideology used to harm people. it's really hard for me to like figure out what the right thing to do in this scenario is, because if we want progress, that probably does mean, you know, right-leaning people being open to left-leaning ideas. And that would mean us, the original left-leaning people, to be open to new left-leaning people, if that makes sense. But there was a lot of pushback on that video because it is really hard to conceptualize if somebody is actually being truthful in their changes, especially when it comes to a celebrity, of course, because how can we really know if something that they're doing is actually what they believe in, or if it's just like a marketing strategy because they know that those kind of people are going to want to engage with that kind of product, you know what I'm saying? That's the kind of pushback that I really like to see. But then I got some people who were like, I don't know, I feel like they weren't listening to me. But that's what you get with every single TikTok, so I don't know if I should have brought up Addison Rae in that video, but the question that I wanted to ask was, is it right or wrong to be open to people who used to have harmful ideas and now seemingly don't? Obviously, some people seem to disagree with that, and I'm not, like, who am I to tell you what to believe in? Who am I to tell you to forgive someone, first of all? I wasn't trying to tell anybody to forgive anyone. Tried to reiterate that sentiment twice in my video, but I don't think it really worked out. I should have been more clear with it, I think. And the follow-up question would be, what would it take for newcomers to counteract the harm that they've done? I don't know, but some people couldn't get over Addison Rae, and I'm like, ooh, I shouldn't have brought up Addison Rae. I shouldn't have brought up Addison Rae because that was too much. So it's a very, very tough concept, and that's something that Doppelganger kind of touches on a little bit in like chapter 6-ish, something around there. And I think my thoughts from the Hypocrite also, let's go full circle, let's connect back to the beginning of this video. One of the things that the father said is like, how is it possible to achieve the already difficult goal of being constantly virtuous in an environment determined to see the bad in everything as a means to progress? And the fact that this is coming from the father's POV, I'm like, ugh, it's annoying when you say it. But then if I just took that out of context, I'm like, like maybe there's a little bit of truth to that. And like I said, this like set the tone for how I viewed everything else in this month. Because if we are meant to progress, does that mean we have to see the good in people who are trying to change, or what? Like, I really don't know. I don't know. Because why should we be open to people that literally harmed us? But when it's a newcomer, then I mean, like, maybe, you know, if they're willing to change, then maybe. So I'm gonna say this 5 times over again. I don't know. And I hope that I'm phrasing this in the right way, because I don't want to come off as insensitive the way that the people in this book do, you know what I'm talking about? I want to, like, open a conversation or something like that. I'm not super well read in, like, political theory either, so maybe there are things that have already been debunked that I'm missing. So yeah, like, I don't know. Did I already? So. I don't even know if I'm going to include this part of the video because I don't know if what I just said was coherent. Yeah, I don't know. Forgive me if I didn't say something quite right. I hope you can understand the sentiment in what I'm saying, but I'm not saying that we should accept everybody that has done something wrong to us. No, I'm not saying that, that's for sure. For the people that are willing to change, how can they counteract that bad that they've done? Sorry. So yeah, I don't know. That's been the big thing about this book, is it's making me think about a lot of things that I don't think I would have thought about otherwise. And there's so much in here left to dissect. I just got to the chapter that's about autism and how we treat people and children with autism, which is so interesting to me because I used to work in a place that was like applied behavior therapy for children with autism, and some of my coworkers, they had some criticism as to like some of the things that we were teaching the children how to do. Klein seems to have some of those same criticisms, where it seems like some of this therapy wants to wipe out all signs of autism in a person and virtually take away some of their personality. I find it really hard to discuss the topics that Klein brings up in this book in a YouTube video or in a TikTok, because the way that I bring it up, I'm just bringing it up short, like here and there, like I'm just bringing up bits and pieces. But the way that she can expand on it so much more that I feel like it's, I don't know, it's more sensitive, and it's also just more well thought out. I'm having a really hard time being able to transfer that same kind of sensitivity into these kinds of things, you know what I'm saying? There are a million thoughts in this book, and I can't even begin to touch on all of them. Can't even begin, because I feel like I'd be doing it a disservice. They're really tough concepts that she touches on in here, so I don't know, guys. That was a crazy way to ending on a book that I didn't even finish, with thoughts that I haven't finished either. So Those were the 5, 4.5, I guess, books that I read in April. Let me know if you've read any of these 5 books. Let me know your thoughts on it.